This is my first ever SketchUp tutorial for Mario 64. I'm not really an expert like Kaze, but I feel like a lot of tutorials out there don't really cover really basic things that I think could really help level design. And so today I'm going to kind of focus on slides, since I know a lot of people are probably going to enter that slide ROM hack competition being held by Simple Flips. And even if they don't like intend on winning or making the best slide, it's a good way to just kind of challenge yourself. So I want to teach you some tips to help kind of get your creations on screen and in engine and actually playable. So there is one thing that I don't think a lot of tutorials will go over, and that's actually kind of getting your idea in SketchUp. And for slides, like, you could just do like, oh, blah blah blah, here we go, I'm doing a slide, whoa, look at that, and then you just kind of map it out like that. But pretty soon you're gonna realize why that's not really gonna work. Like, if, like, let's say you do like, oh, I want to do that, or like, oh, what about this? A lot of times it can't tell like the up and down position, and you'll get really weird things like that. And even if you take it like very carefully with like exact coordinates, you're still gonna get like really wonky results, and you're gonna end up using, like, I wasn't even trying there, you're gonna get like way too many faces. It's gonna be a really janky looking slide. So what I found to be way more useful and way more simple was to have your design ready on paper, so you just can reference it and just draw it. And putting out a square here, this is, oh gosh, I need to zoom in, I'm like at 4,000 meters. Oh god. Side tip, also learn how to do camera controls better. So let's just do this like 20 by 20. It's not that big. And remember, if you see the blue here, you're just gonna want to do reverse faces by right clicking. And basically what you want to start doing, instead of just drawing all over the place, you can make sure that it's flat by just drawing out this square and paying attention to make sure that this blue square underneath the pencil is there. That means the line is going to be on the face, and it's going to make your life so much easier. You could still do stuff like a line along the axes using the arrow keys. If you didn't know, you can draw lines perfectly along the axes using the arrow key. So arrow key left is along the green axis, which I think is the X. Right arrow to draw down the Z, which is the red, and up arrow to do the blue. This will come in handy later when we're actually giving our slide a bit of a slope to it. So let me go ahead and finish drawing this. Now, if you want to make sure that your slide is like the same width all the way through, what you could do as well, you can go ahead and select a tool like that, and it will give you a bit of a path. You can just then go ahead and extend that edge or that line out, and you have a consistently width path. So let's say, oh, and also before I forget, let's say you want to adjust like where certain points are. With this technique, you don't have to worry about it going up in the air, like all that. It will stay on the face as long as well, actually, well, it can go up if you're oh wait, that didn't even go up, that just kept, it won't go up if you keep it on the face here. It can go off even, but yeah, so you could just use the mover tool for that. So let's just say you want to do So how do you go ahead and make this slope down? You can do it very easily with this setup, but it takes a little bit of time, but it's time worth taking. So let me go ahead and add a little spawn area here just before I forget. So let's designate this area right here as my spawn. I'll go. So I'm gonna do select A, and just kind of bring it to the center just for ease. You don't have to have your spawn at the center. I'm just doing that just for sake of making this easier on myself. So what you're going to want to do, you can go ahead and delete these now. If not all, what the hell? These lines here. And what you can do now is take it slowly and go square by square. So you see here how you draw, not even square, but you see this like rectangular kind of face I've made here. Start doing it by that. Start sloping down like that. So take your mover tool, go on the rest of the slide. Don't select this, but select this. Press up on press the up arrow key to lock it into the y-axis, and just slope it down gently. You don't need that much slope. Mario kind of has a terminal speed, so you don't need to actually slope it down that much. And then you do the next square, and just keep going like that. You can move it along the other axes as well, just to kind of adjust like things, but I don't suggest it. I suggest just making sure that before you start sloping down, you have the curve you want, or the path you want, and you just take it slowly, and it creates a really even slide. I think this is really important because when you eventually go to texture the thing, I'm just going to use random textures here. I'm going to do it though by 5x5. It makes it easier on yourself to go ahead and align them. What is projected mean? I don't even know. But if you go to texture position, you can go ahead and make it a bit easier on yourself. So let's say blah. It's not ever going to be 100% perfect. It's always going to be a bit messy, but it's better than just kind of leaving it up to chance. Like, look, that looks a lot better than just kind of this random mess over here. And if you keep the faces down, it's going to be easier to texture. So let's say now, what if you want to make this have some depth? What if you want your slide to be, not so flat so that you can see through the bottom? It's also very easy. You just take once again, you want to press up arrow key and go to each point along each side and draw a line down. I suggest keeping it to a similar height all the way through. You can do that by typing the height and then pressing enter. So just going through each point and adding a little 1 meter or however tall you want it, and then you can connect it and have a pretty even face like that. And that's so much harder when you're doing it by just random hand, because and then all the tiles just kind of blend, or not. No, they don't blend. There's just so many that your side is going to be really crooked and uneven. Now let's say you draw out a really complicated shape. This one's not complicated at all, and it's going to simplicity will make your design better, slide better, believe me. But let's say you do draw out something complicated. You can, at that point, what I would suggest is just keep an eye on like the slope. Just look at your slope and like take each point, raise them or lower them as needed. Don't do texturing until you're done with the actual shape of the slide, or else the textures are going to constantly move around and you're going to waste a lot of time. It's not easy, but nothing in life is. So if you're going to do a complicated shape, just be prepared to have to lower each point, lower and even sometimes raise. Just kind of keep an eye on it and look at it, and don't be afraid to load it up into the engine and actually play test, because that's the best way to tell if your slide is garbage. And so I'm going to go ahead and stick to my word and export the model. And if you want to have guardrails, you want to have that in mind when you're actually originally planning this out. So let me go ahead and undo this all the way back here, and I can add rails much easier now. So actually, wait. So let me go ahead and add the rails. Basically, just take that, bam, just raise that, and whoa, we have rails. It's really easy and kind of simple once you do it, but see how it runs. So we go ahead and open M64 editor. Go ahead and load up slide elation, which is what I'm working on, untitled. Let's do, I already had that there. Make sure to enable depth floor, because otherwise you it puts like walls around the edge of like your surfaces. You want to go to level settings, terrain type, slippery slide. That's just to make sure that it's a slide level, and so yeah, whatever. You don't need to do anything special with collision. Make sure you extend level boundaries, and that should be it. So let me go ahead and import level, open up Toad's tool real quick. Place it over bomb on battlefield. Find where your slide begins. It's hard to see because I did make some textures white, but I think this is the ground right here. You can, yeah, it is. Save. Exit that. Project 64. Load it. You'll notice it says slide halation. It's because that's what I'm doing for my entry. Let me go ahead and get there. So here we have the slide. Wow, you did it. And we're dead. It's just really simple once you understand. You don't want to do everything all at once. You want to take it step by step. You want to make sure you have the 2D layout down first, and then concern yourself with the y-axis. And if you want a track that like goes under itself, just take it in steps, you know. Just don't, like, once you have like all this and you lower it, then start a new square and do it again. There's nothing stopping you from doing this multiple times until you get a track that you like. So those are all the tips I can really think of. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments and I'll try to answer most of them. I'm not an expert in any way. I just feel like um, a lot of tutorials I've seen of SketchUp don't, or for Mario 64 specifically, just kind of don't really go into how to really use SketchUp in a way that to make these levels. Um, so I hope that you find this useful and hopefully enter that competition, because more levels the better, right? All right. Thanks for watching.